Hi, my name is Joe, and I have been working at Crystal Travel for about 10 years now. And I like to think of myself anyway as our resident Iceland expert. We have seen a lot of interest. We've seen Iceland interest spike in the last couple of years. And we think that it's now is a good time to explain to people why they should go to Iceland, because a lot of people coming into us are like, hey, I want to go to Iceland. What do you want to see? Not sure. So we kind of thought we'd help out a little bit with that. Um, this is Iceland, right there in the middle of nowhere, I guess, but it's very, very accessible and easy to get to, and it is a huge island. You'll notice that, like a lot of the time when you're flying to Europe, you're going to end up flying over Iceland anyway, so it is a very short flight and definitely a very reasonable place to go for 3 or 4 days before going back home, honestly. Um, the international airport is here in Keflavik, or it's Keflavik International Airport, and that's about 45 minutes from the capital city of Reykjavik. And Reykjavik is where everything happens, basically. About a third of the population of the whole country live there. It is a population of about 330,000 people, and a third of them live there. And Akureyri up here is the second biggest city with about 30,000 people. Vik down here on the south coast is the biggest town on the south coast, and that's only 4,000 people. So that gives you an idea of like it gets pretty spread out, and towns get pretty small after that. We recently went to Iceland a couple of weeks ago, and we did a familiarization trip for ourselves. And doing that, we did three of the biggest day trips that most people do, but we packed them into 2 days. So one of the big ones is the Golden Circle here, which is roughly this drive. It goes over to here and then back down through here. And there are kind of four main stopping points on the Golden Circle. So to do that, this is the first one is Thingvellir, or Thingvellir as I like to call it, National Park. And it's a pretty small national park, but it's very, very beautiful. And you get to see your probably first waterfall there in Oxara Foss. So that's pretty cool. Strucker Geyser is one of the other big stops. That's fairly self-explanatory. Hot springs shoot out of the ground. Iceland is a very volcanic country. It's known as the land of fire and ice, basically. And Game of Thrones fans will kind of understand why some of the filming took place there. Gullfoss is one of the coolest waterfalls that there is. They're really, really powerful, really big waterfall and very cool to go to. And then Kerrid Crater is another big stop on the Golden Circle tour, which is one of the day tours. Takes about 6 hours probably from start to finish, but you can add on some stuff, which is cool as well. And these are bus tours I'm talking about as day tours right now. The South Coast is another big day tour, and you kind of just drive down here, and it's around here is where it starts, basically. You've got a couple of waterfalls here. Seljalandsfoss is the first one, which you can walk in behind around there, which is really, really cool. We did that ourselves the other day. And then Skogafoss, which you can climb to the top of. You can see the steps all the way up there. It's a long, long climb, so be prepared for that. But it is pretty cool to get up there. And then Reynisfjara is another one, which is the black sand beach on the south coast. There is a lot of other kind of scenic viewing points that you can go to, and then Vik is the town on the south coast that you might go for lunch or whatever. But that is the south coast. And then the other big day tour we took, and this is kind of a big one, this is a 13-hour day probably, is up to the Snæfellsnes Peninsula. And it's really, really cool up there. My background is actually the Kirkjufell mountain, which is over here, mountain and waterfall. But the landscape changes every 5 minutes here. It feels like you're on the moon at one point. You might think you're in Ireland at another point, the Scottish Highlands, just Iceland. You have no idea if you're on the planet. It could be Mars at certain points, but it keeps changing. It's kind of known as Iceland in a nutshell, and not enough people get up there. It's very surprising how few people get to do that, because they might only be here for 3 days, and they'll do the Golden Circle and they'll do the South Coast, and maybe they'll spend a day in Reykjavik. Reykjavik is worth spending a day in, or at least half a day in, but there are a lot of kind of half day tours you can do as well, or full day tours you can do to an ice cave, to a lava tunnel. There's another day tour you can do out around here. This is where the volcano was erupting most recently, the Fagradalsfjall one. The Blue Lagoon is out here as well, which you can do on the way to or from the airport, or you can decide to do it on a day tour. The Sky Lagoon is in here, down here somewhere, which is a kind of a new, I think it's down here actually, which is a new alternative to the Blue Lagoon. It's very, very nice and it's close to Reykjavik. And there's lots of other options. If you are taking the car and you want to go out further, these are two of the main tourist attractions, Diamond Beach and the Glacier Lagoon, which is exactly as it sounds like. There's a lagoon here filled with glaciers. They go out into the sea, they break up a little bit, and then they come back onto this beach and make for really cool pictures on these clear glaciers washed up on a black sand beach. It's really, really cool. And there's a bunch of other stuff out here as well. Svartifoss, another nice waterfall, and you go out here and the scenery just gets kind of ridiculous. You can do a tour around the ring road basically, which is all the way around here, and there's some really cool stuff, especially up here. It gets quite remote out here and quite remote up here, but you can do it. And as I said, Akureyri is up here, but there's Husavik over here somewhere, and even up here to Siglufjordur, there's some really nice history and some cool stuff there. That is Iceland in a nutshell. You can spend 3 days there, you can spend 14 days there, no problem, and it's really, really cool. But if you do want to know more about it or are interested in talking about it more, please do reach out to me. Thank you.